Alright, so in this tutorial I'm going to teach you all the basics of rigging. So started up another default scene here, and I'm just going to hit X and delete that cube. I'm going to hit 5 to go in the orthographic view, and I'm going to hit 1 to go in the front view. And I'm going to hit Shift A, add mesh, cylinder. And I'm going to change the vertices over in the T panel over here where it says add cylinder. I'm going to change the vertices to 12. And that's good. So I'm going to tab into edit mode. I'm going to move the cylinder up to about right there, and I'm going to hit SZ and scale it up. So and also I'm going to hit Control R, use our mouse scroll to scroll it up, add a bunch of vertices in there. So the reason I did that is so that I can show you all exactly how rigging works. So in order to rig something, you add what's called bones. Now, you don't add bones in the sense of human bones, though they act in a similar way, except these bones, instead of stabilizing the body, actually control the movement of the character. So, in order to add a bone, just Shift A and go to Armature and Single Bone. Now, you can't see the bone because it's inside of this cylinder here, but if we don't select anything and we go to this little stick figure guy that we see over here, click on that and go to X-ray. Now we can see our bone here. So right now the bone's display mode is in octahedral. I'll bring this out so that you can see it. It's in the octahedral display mode. We can change this bone to look like several different things. A stick, a B-bone, which is this rectangle-like shape here, an envelope bone, or a wire where it's just like a line. So me personally, I like to work with B-bones. So that's what we're going to do for that. Now, right now the bone is in object mode, and we can't really do anything with it. So before we actually parent this object to the bone, we tab into edit mode so that we can edit this bone. So you see the bone has two handles here. This is the head, and this is the tail. Actually, no. I'm sorry. This is the tail, and this is the head. The head is the one that has the parenting control over the bone. And you can actually see this better if we change it back to octahedral. So this is the tail, and this is the head. So what we can do to add more bones is just select the tail and hit E to extrude. And let's hit Z so we can extrude on the Z axis, and you see we can add more bones. Let's hit E to extrude again, E to extrude again, E to extrude again, all the way up. So now we have a lot of extra bones in here that can be used for deformation. So we tab into object mode, but you see if I hit R to rotate, it only rotates at the center of the object there. We can't select each bone and move anything. So what we can do is with the bone selected, hit Control Tab, and now we're in pose mode. And so now we can select each individual bone and move it around. So this kind of bone operation is called FK control. Basically means it stands for forward kinematics. So that basically means that each bone controls itself. So it follows its parent accordingly. So we're not going to be using FK control in our rig, but it's good to know that the difference between what we're going to be doing and what FK is. And another way of controlling these bones is IK, and I'll show you how to set that up once we parent this to the bones. So the way we do that is select the cylinder and then shift and right click and select the bone, and then hit Control P, and we'll select with automatic weights. So now if I rotate the bone here, you'll see that the cylinder now moves with it. You can move it from the bottom, move it from this side. The cylinder will basically follow all the bones. We could do lots of crazy configurations with it. So you see, from adding these bones, we can quickly get some deformation that looks, nice in the cylinder. But it can be a hassle moving all these bones around individually. And so what we can do is hit A and A again to select all the bones, and hit Alt R to clear the rotation. What we can do is add an IK constraint to this top bone, and we can actually move the bones around with just that one bone. So what we do is tap into edit mode with the bone, select the top bone, hit Shift D on the Z to duplicate the bone, bring it to the top of the bone chain here, and then hit Alt P to clear parent. So that means now that this bone is free basically. And now tab into pose mode, and with this bone selected, we're going to shift and right click select this bone, and we're going to hit Control Shift C, and this is our add constraint menu, and we're going to go to where it says inverse kinematics, which is what IK stands for. And so now you see that this bone right here changes yellow. So if we go to our constraints menu, you'll see that now we have added a constraint to this bone. But right now the chain length is 0, which basically means that this bone infinitely affects every bone that this bone here is parented to. We don't want that. We want it to affect these three bones here. So what we do is change the chain length to 1, 2, and 3. Now, if we select this bone here and hit G, you'll see that this bone moves all those other bones. In fact, we didn't make the chain length long enough. Let's move down to 5. Now you see that this one bone by itself controls all the other bones. Like that. And so, just from very simple rigging, we can, get very cool looking results very quickly. But this is really all you need to understand what will be going on once we start rigging our character. But another thing you will need to know is weight painting. So, but we'll get to the basics of weight painting once we get started rigging our character, and that'll be in the next tutorial.